Hello everyone, my name is Steve, and I've been watching and collecting precious metals for quite a number of years, and listening to a lot of different commodities and financial experts and economists, and I've seen a lot of different videos on YouTube about stacking and what people purchase for silver. And so what I like to do is I like to try to give you, for those of you that are thinking about doing this sort of thing and starting to acquire some precious metals, if you're thinking in that direction, I think it's a very smart and prudent move. I believe there's going to be some revaluations coming up in gold and silver that are going to be utterly remarkable. And if you listen to some of the experts, and I'll mention some of their names here in a little while, then those folks all seem to be saying the same thing. And they've got some very good reasoning and data behind it to show that that is very likely going to be the case of where these things are going. So what I like to do is present you with a number of things that I want to go over. First off, I want to talk to you a little bit about how to stack. There's some folks out there that I see plenty of videos where people are just showing you all of the stuff that they're unboxing and how pretty it is, and but there doesn't seem to be much reason behind it, behind what they're doing or why they're doing it. And so what I want to do is provide some insights on that. First off, when you're accumulating silver, one of the things you're going to want to think about is have some idea of what to expect with the silver that you're purchasing or the gold that you're purchasing. For most folks out there, I know it's a difficult time in our economy. Lots of people do not have work. We've got 40 to 45% of the population on some sort of government assistance, EBT cards or food stamps or whatever it might be. So a lot of people don't have a lot of extra money each paycheck. But if you slowly start accumulating it, just even $100 here and $100 there, you can get yourself a little bit of silver and perhaps make a big difference in your situation. Perhaps here in a very short time. So have an idea of sort of what to expect. I'm expecting silver to really take off here one of these days, and gold as well. Just some general, I'm going to throw some numbers around. Some of you may think that's a little bit ridiculous. But if you listen to some of the experts and where things are going and why we're at where we're at now, if you look at investment banks like JP Morgan and where they've come just in the last few years, what China's doing, what the BRICS is going on, what the situation is with the U.S. currency crisis that we're going under, what our debt is like, with all of the other things piled on top of it, it's certainly not a good situation. So you want to have an idea of how to value your precious metals, and what they're going to be someday. Now you can buy silver now, for relatively cheap, $16, $17 an ounce. You can get it in a lot of different forms. Here I've got a Sunshine Minting 1 troy ounce, 999 fine silver round, and I'm not holding it with white gloves or anything like that. It's just silver here. It's not Gollum's precious or anything like that. I'm not going to be handling it so much that it's going to get completely tarnished. I'm not going to carry it around in my pocket or anything like that. They do have a ribbed edge on them, just like a regular coin does, so they are designed to be held, and it's a comfortable weight for a bullion round. So these things are less than $20 right now. Where will it go? I've heard $200 an ounce. I've heard up to over $2,000 an ounce. And $2,000 an ounce might seem ridiculous, but in fact, some of the people that are the top in their fields for precious metals say gold could reach $50,000 an ounce perhaps one day. And certainly, some of the people that I really like to listen to are saying gold could hit $8,000 to $10,000 an ounce. So it seems quite reasonable that silver at some point in time could easily reach $800 to maybe $1,000 an ounce. So assume that 1 ounce could one day be worth $1,000. I don't think that's really unreasonable. Certainly $300 to $500 probably not a problem at all. But as you get towards, there'll be a point where it's going to max out, and maybe it's going to be a little more than that, but maybe it'll be $800 to $1,000 an ounce. So have some idea of what those precious metals that you're accumulating, what sort of value they may have for you at some point in time. The reason that you want to do this is that at some point in time you're going to need to take and do something with the silver, something with this gold. You don't want to just take and keep it laying around. It has no other value other than what people place on it. So you can't heat your house with it. You can't it doesn't make your car go. You can't eat it for food, any of those things. But it does have value and will have greater value one day, and you're going to want to take and trade that value for something else. Maybe what you want to do is use it to pay off all of your debts. So you could say, I want to at some point in time I've got $30,000 or $50,000 worth of debt, whatever it is. I'm going to pay off all my debt. Maybe you'll have enough silver and gold left after that where you might say, I want to buy a new car. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a farm. I want to buy some property somewhere. So you're going to want to take that silver and gold and turn it into something else that has value. Gold and silver are going to come into their market. They're going to go up in value, and as they do so, other things are going to be much cheaper. There's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to be in a much worse situation than we have today. There'll be a lot of people out there that don't have gold and silver, and so it's going to be a real buyer's market out there. You're going to be able to take that gold and silver and do a lot of amazing things with it. So have an idea what the value of your precious metals is going to be, what it's going to be someday, what you think it might be. Have some ideas so that you can begin to toss around and think with your spouse or significant other what you plan to do with this at some point in time. Okay? Also, I want you to think about watching the timing ahead. There's a lot of things happening in the world today, and the revaluation of gold and silver when this thing takes off, which I suspect it will later this year. This is May when I'm recording this, May of 2015. So very likely in later this year or early next year at the latest, but I'm really thinking later, maybe September, October this year. It's really going to take off. And when it does take off, there's going to be a lot of people chasing it. There's going to be a lot of velocity of dollars going from the stock market and other places into silver and gold. And these are the things that's going to take and drive that price much higher all the time. But what I want you to think about is the timing. So if you begin to see that, for example, and a lot of people that are stacking silver and gold, precious metals, aren't even thinking about some of these things. So that's why, again, I'm doing this video. But watch the timing of things. As you see, and there'll be a day that'll come, you've been stacking silver, stacking gold. There's going to be a day that's going to come, you're going to wake up and the markets are going to be taking a hit. And it's not just going to be a little hit, it's going to be a big hit, and it's going to continue day after day. The markets may even close early on some days. Banks may begin to close. ATMs may have some problems, getting money out. These are some of the things you're going to want to watch. And as that silver and gold takes off in value, you're going to begin at that point in time. You really want to begin at that point in time to have some ideas about where you're going to go. Because at some point in time, you're going to say, looks like an optimal time. We're not seeing a lot more growth in silver. There might be other commodities where people are beginning to move their money into those things. And silver and gold will experience a bubble, just like the other types of bubbles that we've had in this economy over the last several decades. So it will experience a bubble as well. And so those prices at some point in time will begin to come down. So you're going to want to maximize your investment that you've been making by stacking silver, gold, precious metals, palladium, other things of that nature. So begin to think about where you're going to go next. You know, if you've always wanted some property in the country, you know, whatever it is, begin to think about those things. Even to the extent, I would say that, you know, as the time gets close, for example, for myself, come September, I'm going to be looking seriously at some different properties. And if I see things begin to take off, I'm going to begin to negotiate more heavily on those properties as I see gold and silver take off. And if a property that I'm interested in gets sold out from under me, you know, I have no problem with that. I'll look around. There's not just one piece of property out there that I would be interested in. There'll be, you know, plenty of others out there. But I'm going to have several properties I'm going to be looking at and negotiating on. And as those days happen, and I see those markets move, I'm going to be negotiating more heavily because I want to maximize the investment that I've got in my precious metals into, you know, whatever it might be. In this case, land. Okay, so you got to watch the timing of things. Think ahead. Think of where things are going. Quality and diversity is something else that I wanted to mention here. Let me come back to that. You know, I talked earlier about you know, what to expect in the future and when to expect it. What you want to do is listen to some of the experts. These are going to be the people that show up on these business news channels, and they are the subject matter experts. They bring them in and they ask, well, what's going to happen with this commodity? What's going to happen with the markets? What's the story on the world currency situation? What's the IMF doing? What's the story with Greece these days? You know, are they going to be able to make their payments or not? You know, is the euro going to take a hit? What's going to happen to sterling? You know, so people like Mark Faber, Peter Schiff, David Morgan. These people have been around doing this for a long time. They've learned a lot, and you can learn a lot from them. One of my favorites is Mike Maloney. Mike Maloney travels around. He does a lot of sessions with folks showing how markets over years, how they go through various cycles. And he doesn't look at even just one cycle. He may take 5 or 6 different models over the last, since the turn of the century or before the turn of the century, and explain how these cycles work and what their relationship is to gold and silver. And you can learn a lot from these people. He wrote a book and spent a couple of years just studying and preparing, you know, for the material. It's got great data in it. He's got a website called The Hidden Secrets of Money. I would highly suggest that you take a look at that site, sign up for his newsletter, which is free. On his site, he's got a video called, I believe it's called The Death of Currency or something to that nature. It's about a 50-minute long video, but it's got great information, great data that he's got. And he shows this to you in a way where he's not trying to show you how smart he is and how dumb you are, but he's trying to basically help people out. He's trying to say, hey, let me show you how these things work, the pattern that exists in these things. And these patterns happen on a regular basis. And not to say that he's all-knowing and knows everything, but he has predicted a lot of these cycles before they've actually happened. So when you have people that have that level of understanding about the market and currencies, these are some of the people that you want to take and listen to. So definitely check out hiddensecretsofmoney.com with Mike Maloney. Very, very good stuff. One of the things Mike likes to say is that the markets are always, seeking some balance, fair value. Precious metals are going to do the same thing. Right now, the stock markets are way overvalued. If you listen to Mike Maloney, he'll explain to you PE ratios and where PE ratios should be. And right now, they're not anywhere near where they should be. They're all way, way high. So that means that they're in a bubble, and so that bubble is going to break one of these days. It's going to pop. And it's going to come down. When it does come down, some other asset class is going to move up. There's no good currencies to move into. There's no other good markets to move into. That's why everybody's in the U.S. market right now. And that's why we have this bubble. We get a lot of incoming currency from other places around the world. The dollar is still pretty strong, even though I think we're nearing the end of the value of the dollar worldwide, and we'll probably lose reserve currency status pretty soon. But in one of the videos, I think he shows you some charts where it shows how the value of the money supply and the value of gold and silver meet. So they'll meet and then they separate, and then they meet and then they separate, and then they meet and they separate. These are cycles that this goes through. And this differential between when they're the furthest apart, that is your room for potential growth. And if you watch some of these videos and some of the charts he's doing, you'll see that we have right now the single greatest opportunity for wealth exchange probably in the history of the world. So if you're smart enough to take and have a good pile of silver stacked around, know where things are going, or watching things, and setting yourself up right, you can really come out of this in a much, much better situation. There's going to be a lot of people around us that are going to be hurting. You might be able to find yourself in a situation to be able to help out a lot of the folks in your community, a lot of your friends and family that maybe are living paycheck to paycheck, and they may have a hard time finding, they may lose their jobs, they may not be able to easily get food, things of that nature, so you may be in a situation to help them out. So that's certainly something to take and consider. Quality and diversity. One of the things I wanted to mention is I see a lot of people stacking silver, and they've got all kinds of strange stuff. I mean, now granted, silver is silver, right? But there's a lot of different bullion coins out there that the average collector's probably not seen that much of. You want to stick with things that most people know. Engelhard has been around for a long time. Sunshine minting is very good. Have some of those. Most popular in the world, there you go, the American Silver Eagle. So, have some of those around. Those are going to certainly go up in value and do very, very well. And everybody recognizes them. It's quality stuff. Canadian maple leafs, another good example. Johnson Mate, I've got a lot of silver bars, 1 ounce bars. Each one of them has a serial number on it. They're very, very well recognized. I see some people buying these, I saw a guy, he had bought a whole bunch of Scottsdale 1 ounce skull and crossbone, I think. They were like little cubes almost, like ice cube sort of shaped things. And they had a skull and crossbones on them. And they were rough. They weren't, stamped out real nice and pretty. They looked like little tiny poured 1 ounce bars. And, of course, you know, if a lot of people haven't seen those kind of things, you may have some people that are, you know, maybe thinking a little bit skittish on buying those. Certainly when the time comes and you're ready to, like, okay, I've got my stack here and I want to get rid of it, I want to do something with it, you certainly want people to look at it and go, yeah, this is all well-known quality stuff. You don't have a bunch of weird stuff. I would stay away from old coinage. Some people call it junk silver. It's just old coins, but you know the silver content in them is much higher. The problem is you know, you could say, okay, well these coins are all 90% silver. Let's just stack them up, you know, weigh it out, and you'll know what it is. Well, if you're doing that sort of thing, if you have a large amount of silver that you're saying, okay, here's a bag of silver, and they're all, you know, older quarters and they're all 90%, you might be able to weigh them all as a bag and sell the whole bag for, I don't know, 10,000 or 20,000, whatever the price might be at the time for that. But if you're trying to go out and negotiate with somebody, you want to buy gas or bread or things of that nature, you know, people might know what the price of silver is, but they're probably not going to be wanting to go, okay, let's see, that one there is 40% silver, and what year was it that they went from 40% silver to 90% silver? And the 90% silver, what's today's price? Times 90%. You know, if you've got a 1 ounce, you know, and everybody will know what the price of 1 ounce of silver is. So it's very easy to go in and say, this is what I want to buy something, and this is what I've got. Now, you want to have some diversity as well. And the point there is simply this. If, say for example, that silver goes to, say, $800 to $1,000 an ounce, here is, again, that 1 ounce American Eagle. If this were worth $800 to $1,000, how many of you in your day-to-day routine go anywhere and spend $800 at one time? Let's just say it was $500, okay, or even $300. Unless you go and buy a couple of grocery carts completely full, which will probably run you about $400 these days, depending on what you're buying, but that'd probably be pretty close. Then you're going to be like, okay, here's $500. Can you provide me with change for that, please? I like to break this $500. Just like a lot of places you go into today, you walk in with a $100 bill and they're going to say, I can't break that, I can't help you with that. There's places that can't do that. So you're going to have the same sort of situation. So what's my point? Well, have some half ouncers, okay? Now I'm not saying have the bulk of your stuff. You're going to pay a little bit higher premium for a half ounce than you will an ounce, okay? But if you're going to take these things and use them to buy stuff, you want to be able to say, okay, I need a tank of gas, and gasoline has gone up in price, and it's you know, $4 a gallon. I got a 25 gallon tank, so it's $100. Okay, well, you know, if this is 300, the half is 150, right? So now we're getting a little closer to where I can buy something, right? If this quarter here is 150, or excuse me, half is 150, quarter is 75, okay? So this is like a mini American Eagle, right? Quarter ounce, 1/10 ounce, okay? Five gram silver bars, okay? I got a whole bag here full of 1 gram silver bars. They're kind of hard to see. They're pretty small, but so the point is, you know, you may be able to you may have more value there than what you ever thought you'd have. And so now trying to figure out, well, how do I break this up? How do I spend this? Then you're going to need some smaller denominations. That's why we have 1s and 5s and 20s and $100 and so forth in our currency today. When you walk into a convenience store to buy your cigarettes or buy a Coke or something like that, you're not just carrying a wallet full of $100 bills. You've got 5s and 10s and other things in there, and that's what you pull out and you use, right? Unless you have no other choice. Same thing with gold. If you, I've got some different examples of, 5-gram gold bars, right? So if gold goes to $8,000 or $9,000, these things are going to be worth $1,500 or more, a piece. Now again, that's a lot of money to be spending at one spot. I'm not going to walk in and go, I need a tank of gas and here's $1,500 in gold for that, right? Again, I'm going to be thinking as time gets closer, as I begin to see the markets move, currencies moving, I'm going to begin to think about what is it that I need? What do I have an old vehicle that I want to take and replace? Do I want to buy a new truck? Is there some maintenance that I need to have done on my house that I really couldn't afford before? I need to get a new AC unit on the house. Might be a good opportunity to have a lot of maintenance done. If you like where you're living, if your house that you're in is one that's comfortable, you feel safe in it, the neighbors, the neighborhood, there's not a lot of problems going on. I think when the currency starts to fall apart, you can probably see a lot of neighborhoods where there's a lot of problems. There's going to be a lot of rioting going on and other things, which will not be pleasant. So, but if you're in a place where you feel comfortable, begin to think about those things. You need a new roof for your house, right? This is the time where you're going to be able to say, I'm going to be able to get all this stuff done at one shot. People are going to be looking for work. You're going to have the money to be able to pay them for it, okay? Now, I see a lot of people showing their, all their gold and silver out there, and you don't want to take and do much of that. There's probably my wife of 37 years is probably the only person who knows exactly how much we've got. And I don't know exactly how much I've got. And I'm certainly not going to show you all my stack here. I'm just trying to give you some different examples of things and some things to think about. But you want to keep that information pretty much to yourself. If you have a fairly large stack, it could turn into millions of dollars. Okay, certainly if some charts I've seen where silver goes to over $2,000 an ounce, right? Depending on what you've got, you could end up with millions of dollars. A friend of mine, he's got a lot of 100-ounce bars. He's got a 100-ounce gold bar. And he's got lots of rounds, and he's got lots of older numismatic coins. And I told him the other day, I said, you're going to be a millionaire probably before the year is out, before the end of the year. So he said, well, I sure hope so. His business isn't doing great, but he's getting by. But he could use that money, so as a lot of people can. So make sure that your stash is in a good safe, and perhaps in a couple of different safes. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say. And make sure the safes are not little safes where somebody can just pick the whole safe up and walk off with it. Keep what you've got, sort of quiet. And perhaps even after you become a millionaire, might want to think about, what your lifestyle is. If all of a sudden people see that you've got food and you're buying a new truck and you got a new air conditioning unit put on your house, you see people put a new roof on your house, and everybody else is just trying to come up with enough money to scrape up enough to buy some groceries, you might make a target of yourself possibly. You want to think about those things just a little bit. So get quality, get smaller denominations. I would, unless you're planning on, again, large purchases, stick to smaller stuff. Here's, quarter ounce, gold coins. Sort of keep these things, that's a nice size. And, if gold really takes off, if gold were to hit, $4,000, $8,000 an ounce, those things are worth, a couple $1,000s a piece. So they can really go up. You do want to have some larger pieces, a few of those perhaps as well, depending again on what your plans are. My plans are to take and buy some property at some point in time. Then you might want to move into something a little bit larger. Here's a Johnson Mate 10 ounce silver bar. Very nice. Got the serial number on it, 9995. Well known, very easy to manage. If silver goes to, $2,000 an ounce, that's a $20,000 bar right there, right? And then this is a $200,000 bar, right? So, here's a 100 ounce with the Sunshine Mints. And, of course, it's got the serial number and such on it. And it's got the SI mint mark on the back of it, so you can verify that it is real. And, of course, it weighs out, at 100 ounces. So, if you have some of those laying around, then you would be planning on a big purchase with those. Again, you're not going to walk into a convenience store and go, okay, I got $250,000 here in silver, I need a pack of cigarettes. Right? That's not going to happen. But if you have a few of those bars, you might be able to go, okay, here's a nice house sitting on some property somewhere, and that property is selling for, $220,000, $230,000. You might be able to go ahead and just pick that piece of property up with that 100-ounce bar. That's very, very much a possibility. So, think about those things. Something else I wanted to mention. Some of this will depend on how society bounces back from what I believe is coming down the road here. If silver does really take off, one thing that's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be taking their what we call junk silver, their older coins, numismatic coins, and they're going to probably be melting a lot of that stuff down to get the silver content out of it. Now, depending on what you've got for numismatic coins, what that could do, and again, it sort of depends on how the economy comes back at some point in time. There's still certainly going to be people with money out there, but you might get some very incredible gains off of numismatic coins. So, here, for example, there's a stack of Morgan silver dollars. Okay, so these are like 1878. These are all brilliant uncirculated, probably mint state 62 to 64, something along those lines. They're all in very, very nice shape. Very, very clean. These things are going to all grade out very, very nicely. Mint state 62 to 64, I would say most of them are. I've got a lot of Carson City versions of these and some, rare ones. Now, of course, the variations on the Morgan silver dollar, there's tons of them out there. And so again, it's a good idea to know sort of what you have. But if you do have some of that stuff, you might want to hold on to it because, again, if people are melting down a lot of the numismatic stuff that's out there, then what you have out there is going to become more and more rare. And so obviously things that are rare usually have much greater value. So keep that in mind as well. I think that's about it. Those are the main things that I wanted to cover with you. If you can remember those things, I think you'll be really on to having a successful stack and knowing where things will go. So just to recap, have an idea of what to expect, where the markets are going. This means you got to watch the business news. You got to listen to some of these people that are the experts out there, and not just one or two videos. You got to watch them, a couple of videos, maybe a week for the, from now on, right? Have an idea of, the value of where these precious metals may go. Watch the timing of things. Think ahead. Look at things. You can't just watch, garbage on TV. You got to flip over and watch the business news. Know what's going on in the world. The world, unfortunately, is not a pretty place right now. There's a lot of war going on, and wars have their cycles as well. And when there's a death of a currency, there's usually a war that goes along with it, and we've got something like that ahead of us. So watch the timing ahead. Think of quality. If you're going to buy a silver, buy stuff that people recognize highly. Know that you've got good quality stuff, not weird stuff, not lots of junk silver, stuff that you can easily move around without any problem whatsoever. Diversity. Have some gold maybe, have mostly silver, have some smaller denominations, have some large stuff if you're expecting to make some large purchases. Obviously, it's a lot easier to do that. In general, just again, try to have a variety of things. Watch the numismatics. If you've got some of those things out there, or you've picked some of them up, I know a lot of people have inherited some of their silver stacks from parents and other folks. And if you've got a lot of the numismatics in there, sort them out, separate them out from the bullion. Watch the bullion prices, and then later on, after the bullion, you sold that, you got rid of that, you probably, I would say, hold on to the numismatics. And again, find out what they're worth. How rare are they? Now, if you discover that, well, there's still some rarity and there's still good value, again, at some point in time, depending on your situation, maybe you want to hand them down to family members, bless them to some degree, or maybe just hold them back and see if they take off in value later on. A lot of times what happens, even when you have markets that shrink, or an asset class, if it's numismatics, there's not many out there, people start hoarding those things. And so what's available to the public in general becomes a very small quantity. And it's just the economics of supply and demand. If there's a demand for certain kinds of high quality numismatics, and there's not much flowing around out there because people are holding on to what little there is out there, that's going to drive the prices up. Okay? Obviously. So it may put you in a position where, again, you can take advantage of that to a much greater degree than otherwise you might have been able to. So that is, I guess, the point that I wanted to make in this initial video. My background, I'm an engineer. I've been working in computer science for quite a while. I've taught computer classes on computer forensics, computer security, different kinds of programming over the years. I've taught at colleges, I've taught at NSA, DOD, most major banks. I've traveled around the world teaching security and SQL programming to banks over in India and UK, and been doing a lot of instructing over the years. I'm working as a active directory engineer for a major healthcare company in the United States right now, and so that's what I do. Also, I guess one last thing I would say is make sure that you can protect your stuff. If people have an idea that you've got, some amount of silver that someday could be worth millions, your house is not Fort Knox. Your house is not protected as well as perhaps a bank is, or other places. But it could be. Make sure that that you. I've got plenty of firearms and I know how to use them. I grew up in western Nebraska in a hunting and shooting culture, and I've done that ever since I was a kid. And I've got plenty of firearms and know how to use them and understand the situations around using them. I've gone through plenty of gun training, and you might want to consider that yourself as well. You do not want to be at the wrong end of violent crime, and certainly if you have a family that you're trying to protect and help them prepare for the future, you certainly do not want them to be on the receiving end of violent crime. So make sure that you can protect yourself and you've got the correct mental attitude to be able to do that kind of thing. So good luck to you on your stacking. If I come up with some other ideas that I think will be useful to you in your stacking, I'll try to put some things together that I think will be helpful to you. Again, get out there on hiddensecretsofmoney.com, begin to learn and watch where things are going. I think things are going to be happening pretty soon for us, and you don't want to miss out on it. Take care of all yourselves, take care of each other, and God bless you all.